Arash Madani from Rogers Sportsnet Blue Jay coverage. And hey, Arash, good to see you, my man. Let's dive right into it if you don't mind. Ross Atkins, the GM of the Blue Jays, saying Tuesday that they've closed the gap he feels in the competitive AL East. They've made a deal today. How excited are you in the landscape of the Blue Jays here with spring training opening?
Well, I think if you're a Blue Jay fan, Roddy, I mean, just from a defensive standpoint, this team has gotten a lot better today. They go out and trade for Matt Chapman, a handful of prospects, then a couple of Major League-ready players come back. But the Blue Jays defensively really struggled at third base last year. And when you think about defensive runs saved in all of baseball over the last 4 or 5 years, Matt Chapman is number 3 in the game. I mean, we're talking about a 99th percentile defender. He's got a wins above replacement of nearly 8. I mean, when your WAR is around 7.5, that is big time. So the Blue Jays get a significant upgrade there, but they still need a second baseman. Marcus Semion's gone over to Texas. So it's been such a weird offseason because of the lockout. Now spring training is underway, and they're still making free agent signings now.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that with Marcus Semien gone and Robbie Ray, too. We talk about the exciting acquisitions, of course, but what about those losses? I mean, how are they going to fill for Robbie Ray?
Well, they went and got Kevin Gausman, which is, one of the front-of-the-line rotation starters, was number 1, number 2, depending on how you kind of consider it in San Francisco last year. Logan Webb got the ball for game 1 of the postseason against LA. But for the first time in a while, Roddy, I actually don't look at starting pitching 1 through 5 as a question mark for the Blue Jays. First time in quite some time. They just extended Jose Barrios, who they brought over in a trade last year, gave up a hefty haul for him. Now they have Gausman as your number 2. Alek Manoah, who a year ago was not even on the radar, has established himself as one of the premier young pitchers in the game. Then you have Ryu, and you bring in Kikuchi from Seattle on a 3-year deal. 1 through 5, the Blue Jays rotation is set. Now the question is, with a shortened spring training and with all the injury possibilities, what kind of depth do you have in your starting staff? Well, Ross Stripling's hanging around, Nate Pearson's hanging around, Ryan Baracki's out of options. He could be an option coming down. So I actually believe that the Blue Jays starting pitching is in probably as good a shape as we can remember in quite some time.
And it's Vladdy's 23rd birthday today. Is he the most popular? No, dumb question. Austin Matthews, the most popular athlete in Toronto. I would assume. You're there. You tell me. Where's Vladdy rate on the scale?
I don't know. That's a good question. Now that I start to think about it, who are the most popular athletes in this city? I actually think, even though Fred VanVleet was an all-star and got a lot of fan voting, Scotty Barnes is really becoming, the player that a lot of Raptor fans are gravitating toward. Austin Matthews is having a superb season. There's something about Vladdy, Rod. I don't know if it's because he's a second-generation Canadian baseball player. His father obviously played for the Expos. Is it the megawatt smile? Is it the fact that, he's just identified by his first name, Vlad? Home run derby champion, runner-up for MVP, gets that whole dugout kind of going. Guerrero is all of it. You mentioned it's his 23rd birthday. He is top 3 right now in AL MVP voting. I looked it up yesterday. It's plus 400. Last year he would have won Most Valuable Player in the American League if not for Shohei Ohtani, who did things that we've never seen before. So it's Ohtani, Trout, and Guerrero who are really the straws that stir the drink in the American League. But in terms of marketable stars in baseball, Vlad's right there among anybody and everybody else in the game.
It's a fascinating debate, and the only reason that ever came on my radar was when OBJ was with the Giants, and you probably were aware of this. They said he was the most popular athlete in New York, and I thought, man, that is saying something, given the franchises there in New York. And it was OBJ and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get sidetracked. But can I just say this? The Blue Jays, if they stay healthy, Vladdy and the rest, do have a chance to contend in the AL East or no?
Yes. Yes. Right now, they're the betting favorites to win the division. They still have to do an upgrade to their bullpen. There's no question there. And they need a second baseman. But it's such a weird time because remember, Rod, basically from the first week of December until last week, it was a lockout. Teams couldn't even contact agents. It was a $500,000 fine on the table if there was any tampering or any kind of communication between players and coaches. I heard a story that a player was actually in Arizona and reached out to a coach and said, "What's that restaurant in Phoenix you always talk about?" And the coach didn't reply with the threat of a fine. So right now, you not only have camp going, but free agency at the same time, trades at the same time. Matt Olson going over from Oakland to Atlanta. It was Chapman today to the Blue Jays. Josh Donaldson went over to the Yankees. A lot is happening right now. But as I look at the AL East right now, and I know Tampa's the defending division champs, never count them out. I just look at the firepower on this team offensively. I look at the starting arms that they have, and I just look at what what they've shown that they can do defensively. I think right now Toronto's the best team in the division. They got to go do it for 162 games.
And that's where the fun begins. Hey, Randy's road trip kicked off in Calgary here yesterday. I don't know if you saw Danny Austin's coverage of it in the Calgary Sun. He was one of them on the Stampeders website, some of the only media that I saw doing stories on it. Did you follow what came out of it at all?
I did, and obviously the Genius Sports thing is a big part of this, and Danny did some great reporting. The Drive to Survive thing is what every league now wants to do because of what it's done with F1. The PGA Tour is on board with this. There were cameras following Rafa Nadal and a bunch of tennis players in Melbourne at the Australian Open. Tennis is following suit. Rod, I've been told that Genius Sports / CFL / the TV rights holders, the competitor to the company I work for, are hoping to sit down with the CFLPA and make a presentation and make a pitch towards something. Now, I would suspect it has something to do with the Drive to Survive model. But I'm also told, Rod, that Genius Sports has really made a push to the league office about 4 downs, and that Randy Ambrosie has let the teams know and let some of the football people know that there is a real push towards 4 downs from their now partner over at Genius Sports. So keep that in mind as this kind of unfolds, that some of the reporting that came out of Grey Cup week, well, it's getting a real push now from one of the key stakeholders on the business side of that entire operation.
Yep. You drop that stink bomb now, we're almost out of time.
I'm just answering your questions, brother.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, and it didn't come out of the blue at Grey Cup. There's no doubt. We'll have to bring you on a little more regularly to follow this story. But if I may, let me just say this. You worked in this town of Calgary. I wonder what your affection is for it, because your life kind of pivoted here, if I'm not mistaken, did it not?
Yeah, I was actually talking to somebody about this just yesterday. I covered the Flames back in the Score, before the Score was just an app. Rod, remember those good old days? Because you were part of the Regina deal, and I was in Ottawa and then Calgary with the Score. We were bureau reporters. I did the 07-08 Flames season. I can't believe that was 15 years ago. So it was Ginla, it was Kiprasov, Phaneuf, Regier, Langkow, Conroy, Sarich. I mean, on and on it went. It was a great time. And I know Ryan Leslie comes on the show. Ryan was with Global then, and Ryan's a beauty. So, no, I remember those days quite fondly in Calgary, and we got into lots of fun, a lot of trouble there.
Those were the good old days, for sure. Well, I'll say hi to your crew. We're overdue for a catch-up. Thanks for this, Arash, and good luck on the Blue Jays trail.
All right. Thanks, Roddy.
Sportsnet's Arash Madani checking in from the Big Smoke, Hogtown. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.